I absolutely love that the very existence of my face makes your life harder. Basement Dwellers! Surprise! We're back. And yeah, this is another episode. I'm Jace. That's Brady. I'm pointing the wrong direction. There's Justin down there. And yeah, it's another episode. And I forgot to do the previously on first.
We're done.
That's
another episode.
I want it.
Previously on. Wait, what's the name of the
Previously on Basement Discourse, we spoke about Stranger Things and then how we play video games.
There we go. Done.
I think it was so much how we play as how we experience, but
Nope.
I play it with a controller. I press buttons quite
Yeah,
regularly.
see, that you're doing it wrong already.
Yeah, I knew
I was
you were
going to say you've
it.
already triggered him.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I literally have a controller right here and it is plugged in.
I was going to say 2 seconds into an episode with a straight edge vegan and you've triggered him. Big surprise.
Fuck you, now I'm playing my
born
Super
angry.
Nintendo controller.
Anyway,
are you gonna do anything with the episode control
put
you
shit
have?
on. Yeah, just put
No.
shit on like all of us for having controllers and using controllers. You have 2 of them on hand.
You have
like,
more
Well,
than
what
we
if I
have.
want to play old games that only work with controller? And then what if I want to play Dark Souls because that's like all I've been doing?
I've played all my old games through a
All my old games.
all my old games through a simulator.
Yeah, so I could do
Emulator,
that,
mate. Come on.
But
Get with
they
the
just don't
times.
work as well. Anyway, moving on. We actually have an
games to
episode.
games.
Yeah, we
I
have
was
an
gonna say
episode to
moving
talk about.
on to the start.
Yeah, moving on from Justin talking about whatever boomer stuff he wants to talk about,
Fuck right off.
his fucking lawn or fucking some arcade game that he doesn't even know about, and talking about the videos that should have just hit. They would be our top 10s. We did a bit of a top 10 and then sent it around, and then we all shit on each other. Not in the cool like Dutch video sort of way.
Yeah,
you
it was
know,
just more like
we're
make
calling
each
that
other
cool?
feel really bad about each other's
Yeah.
lives.
Brady,
Yeah,
I've seen your search history. It's much cooler than that.
The amount of times I don't realize I'm logged into our Google account when I
I
look
know,
up a
right?
video, and then I'm
I
like,
jump on YouTube and it's like how to make things bigger. I'm like, oh, Brady.
it's all about growing things because my chilies aren't going the way I want them to. But
Yeah.
I'm like, out
Oh,
of
that's what it
context.
is. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Yep.
Chili
I
there
got
you
to
go.
that. And I was like, oh, wait. All right. Yeah. skip
Perfect
that.
solution. I gotcha. I like spicy things, just not the way you like.
Oh, my God.
So we did roast some games and that, and I think we sort of need to have a bit of a chance for a rebuttal because we just pre-recorded and sent the video around, but also there needs to be a bit more of a discourse about it. Perfect show for it, right?
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Even in the basements. Yeah,
Um,
I think so because like some of them like we just didn't know enough about. So you guys were saying things about it, certain games that I picked, and you're like,
At least most of us picked the right and described the right game.
Well, this is true. Got to be honest. I definitely picked the wrong Tony Hawk's Underground. Well, I picked the right one and then described the wrong one. So
You
that
described
was
what
kind of
you should have
not
picked.
good.
No,
I
you didn't.
described what I shouldn't have picked because Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Let's start there. So Tony Hawk's Underground 2 is more like an advertisement for like Jackass / Viva La Bam.
Yep,
and
100%.
CKY.
No, and not a game about like really about anything except for that because it really didn't have that much like actual decent skating in it. Like it was just all
Oh,
pranks
no.
and
It was all
stunts and all the
stunts
rest
and
of it,
stuff.
which was fun. Like don't get me wrong, but if you're picking a Tony Hawk's game, it's going to have to be Tony Hawk's Underground 1.
100%. I
Or,
could
like,
also
if you're going for
accept.
nostalgia like 2 maybe just because nostalgia and
In
the school
fairness,
level and stuff.
actually, while we're on the skating topic, I was surprised at myself, but it's because there was limited room and I was picking enjoyment over quality, which is a strange thing to do. But skate, like the skate games, far outsell.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they are
I
way
agree.
better as a game than the Tony Hawk's games.
It is so satisfying just
when
doing
I
a
had
kickflip on
to-
that game.
Fucking
Yeah,
A.
exactly.
Just a
But when
clean
I had to
kickflip down a
like,
set of stairs.
oh, 100%. And the way
Yeah.
it's like the angle is from somebody filming, like everything
Yeah.
about those games is so much better than Tony Hawk games, like
Yeah.
pro skater games. But
However,
I had to pick based on what I enjoyed more, and I
I
love
also
the
would
skate
like-
games as like if I look at them and go, I love that game.
mm,
But if I had to pick which one like gave me that fucking joy, I'd have to go.
Yeah, see, your list is 100% nostalgia bait. You gave fucking Justin so much shit about picking
yeah,
these,
yeah.
nostalgia.
Oh, you're just picking that
And-
game for nostalgia.
and that was your whole thing was literally just a childhood wank. Like, if you went,
That's
if you
a
went,
term I never want to hear again.
Yeah, good. That's all I'm going to use from now on. I need to hit my dick and balls quota in this episode, so
This is
you know,
true.
yeah.
Haven't
gotta
got
get
there
that in
yet.
early.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were going to say to me, what's the best skateboarding game? I 100% Skate 2.
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
I
it was
wouldn't- I would
badass.
not-
as well
Yep.
for me as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
For sure.
3, they sort of made it a bit too Tony Hawksy,
Mm,
in the sense that like you
Yeah.
could do some really absurd shit,
yeah.
and they
And the
also
realistic
ruined flips.
feature of that was like this the most satisfying part. Like just
Yeah.
nailing
Yeah.
some simple little like if you could pull a 540 off anywhere, you're like, holy shit.
Or like you go to like this in number 2, there's the spots with like all the guards around and that, and they're like, oh, you've got to go through and like kickflip up this stair set and then like nose blunt down this like little ornament thing, but you've got to do it away from the guards. Getting a clean run and then actually nailing the tricks they request.
Yeah.
Mwah. Like when
It
you
was-
get that,
It was the
it's-
Dark Souls of skating games.
Yeah.
holy
yeah,
shit, that is
yeah.
legit it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there
That's
are
exactly
some
it. It's the
there are
timing.
some like what is it? It's like the killed or they had a special name for it when they did like your normal level of completing a thing, and then there was the next level.
Yeah, right.
That
Yeah.
that was fucking cool because it made it
Yeah.
so much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was as a skater, like it just the mechanics of it, the way the controllers were set, the flick, like
Yeah, the feel of it.
it was
just felt
exactly
like you were
how if you
skating.
asked me in my brain how to do that, I'd be like, oh, it's down and to the right and then to the left and then flick around.
Yeah.
And like that makes no sense if you have no idea, which is probably why it was harder to market than a Tony Hawk's game in general.
Yeah,
Plus the
They
100%.
name
had to
isn't
market
attached
it
to it,
at
you know,
people
like-
who knew about it.
I mean, you got to remember how, like, you know, the first Tony Hawk came out, like, Hawk was fucking huge when that game came out, and
Oh,
it just got
yeah,
way
dude.
bigger from there. I
Yeah.
just watched the documentary on that guy, and it was insane. They gave him like a $3 million advance on the first Tony Hawk game. And then later on, they're like, oh, by the way, here's another 24. Like, here you go, bro. I was like,
Fucking
oh, yeah,
hell.
cheers. Just for that. Just chucks that in his pocket. Like,
Cannot
that
wait
game was huge, like, for
for
its time.
Snack Pack Pro Rollerblading to come out.
Did you guys see just before
Basement
we
dwelling
continue on
simulator.
with the yeah, isn't that watching us now?
Oh, yeah.
Just before we continue on with the games things, did you guys ever see the Tony Hawk Boom Boom Huck Jam?
No.
No,
This was wild,
not at
right? So
all.
it's choreography. It's similar to like a Nitro Circus thing.
hmm
But they had like skaters, like these were all pro people.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, dude. It was like
yeah.
Nitro Circus is now, right? It was a
Ye-
live
ye-
show.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
So they had like a big half pipe, and on
Yep.
either side of that, see, this is the wild part, right?
The
So
ramps.
it's a pretty big, like it's a mega ramp. It's not just a half pipe. And then on either side of it was ramps for motocross.
Motocross, yeah. Yeah.
And in the ramps
all of the
themselves, they
sports.
had BMX skaters. I don't know if they had
Yeah.
inline. They
No,
might
no,
have had
for,
one.
for its
but-
time, it was impressive as shit and looked ridiculous.
it
but
still
now
is,
it's just
because
Nitro
there are-
Circus.
No, but you can take screenshots of that if you can find it, and it's like 480p. Of like they choreographed multiple people in the air, so it was like,
Choreographed?
They
you
just
knew
get
what I
fucking
meant.
frozen in like poses.
You knew what I meant.
All right, everyone, here's your chance to take that picture. Tony Hawk
they
is
got it-
choreographed inside of his 450 right now, and take a photo of that.
Why
But
would
they-
you do a 450 and then sideways?
because you're going to catch the
whole
moment.
thing was like planned, right? It was a show like anything else. Like it was you do this, I do this, instead of like a normal skating show, I guess, or whatever.
I'd like to point out that not every show is planned, a la this.
Yeah, I know, but you
Anyway,
live
carry
show
on.
that you
Anyway,
go
yeah.
and see. But there was points in that show where they had multiple people in the air, literally over each other. But the crazy thing about it was like in the one half pipe on one side, it was like skater just a little above the coping, BMX rider, skater, BMX rider, and they would literally all pass each other like that. And then because where the motocross ones were, they were motorbikes like backflipping. It's mental. It's like if you drew a line, there is so many people in the air above each other. Like
Yeah.
that thing was pretty cool. Do recommend going back because I think that even though
Do
a lot
recommend
of the tricks
if you have time
been
travel,
surpassed,
go back.
no, you find
and-
the videos
and attend
Christ's
that
sakes.
event.
Nope.
It's
time
only
travel.
good if you go there. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
get your
anything
DeLorean
else.
out
Don't worry
of
about
your
attacking
grandpa's
Hitler.
shed.
None of
Out
that
of
stuff.
Justin's shed.
Yeah, I got one back there. I might
Yeah.
actually do that on my weekend. Yeah.
Go
Justin
find
is
yourself
the
some
grandpa.
hair so that you can start your magic career.
Right.
It's just a fucking Christopher Lloyd wig.
When we
like-
defending games, I
Yes.
I
Yeah,
just wanted to say,
So
Boom Boom Huck Jam, Tony Hawk back then, he did more for skating, but like, yeah, skate, awesome.
yeah.
The game.
So not one of any of our choices, but go and check
No,
that
but
out also.
It's definitely a worthwhile mention.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've all spent a fair bit of time inside of that game as well. So.
Dude, I still have so many saved replays that what can I fucking do with them?
Right?
Nothing.
But you can still appreciate them.
And like, I'll go back and I'll watch it and I'm like, fuck, I did good.
That was clean.
Fuck, I'm good.
One of the ones I wanted to defend was The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 because you guys were saying how they're not like a thing, like how they don't
I'll let you do
continue
it.
on from each other.
But
Come
I'm
on.
sullen about it.
Seriously. So Joel's decisions at the end of the first game. So it's a 2013 game. You should know it by now. The decision at the end, you are fighting to save this girl. You find out that the girl is actually the cure for everything to do with the zombie apocalypse that is happening. She is the cure. All they need to do is kill her. They have to kill her to make the cure. But Joel can't let that happen because he's lost his family before. And so he makes a decision. He goes in all guns blazing, kills everyone in there and takes the girl. She's the cure to
Mhm.
save the entire world. And instead of doing this, he takes the one person that could do that and selfishly takes it for himself. And that's the decision you make by the end of the game. Well, you don't make
Yeah.
that decision. It is the game. That is the
Yeah.
story. So game number 2 is a continuation of this where Joel is hunted down and killed. And it's one of the very first things that happens. And I don't care if I spoil it because it's fairly old now anyway, and you should have already played it.
I haven't. Thanks. for
Very early
spoiling.
on, Joel
Yeah,
will
I
be
guess I'll put a warning in this because
Yeah,
I haven't played it.
drop that.
But thanks.
and from there, that's where the story develops. And it is on both sides of the fence. So you actually play the side of the fence of the people that are hunting Joel, and in the instance of one of the girls. And you also play as Ellie, who is the girl that Joel saved. So you play both sides of the fence. You see both sides of the story and why they have reasons for what they're doing. Why Ellie has reason for revenge is pretty obvious, but why the other side of it has the reasons that they do as well. So
I see where you're coming from, but I still don't agree that it should be considered as one game, like one game speaking, like
yeah,
because you are like, even though it's a continuance of the overall tale, it's not necessarily following the story. Like it's
Like if you wrote that as a book, you wrote the first one, it got
Yeah.
decent success, and they said, "Hey, we need more," and then you wrote more. You wrote it well, but it's not the same book.
It is set 5 years apart as well, so that's not like happened the next day.
It's not the same game.
Ish.
So
Yeah.
still,
Fine. I'll make
roasting
it
me
11
for putting
then.
11 on my list. Justin also put 11 on his list.
I'll make it 11 then.
But yeah, so
So-
like, yeah, if it was like Joel survived and it was just Joel's story continuing on,
Yeah.
I'd see it more as one continuance. Like if you thought about putting this in as a movie, like my example of Mass Effect, right, which you guys were
Yeah.
a bit iffy on, you could make Mass Effect into one long fucking movie, you know. if
Yeah, but you
wanted
could
to,
also
through the
probably
whole
make it into a
series.
TV series, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like there would be
but
moments
like,
you could cut it too. So the hard part is I enjoyed the second one more because the story was already developed, but you can't say that you enjoyed the second one without having already had played the first one. So it plays a huge part in liking the second one. I would have no idea what the fuck the whole story or the point of the whole story is if you played just number 2.
oh yeah, 100.
So-
I get that.
and look,
but
Because, most
this
sequels
is
are
a
like that, I guess.
tangent
But
from the game thing, which
Yeah.
But how do you guys feel about that with sequels, or do we do another section on that another time? Should sequels always stand on their own?
so
I think that could be its own thing almost.
it
Yeah,
could
it's a
be,
topic.
but to make
Speaking
it brief.
of sequels, though, I think we've got one coming up for our ad break.
Oh, just fucking cut me off then.
Oh god, Brady's talking about Isekai again. Are you sick of listening to Basement Discourse and having Brady tell you about Isekai all the time? Well, check out the new TV from SAMSMUG that has an automatic Isekai filtering. So whenever you're watching your favorite podcast, you can just filter out all the shit Brady says about Isekai. Grab the new SAMSMUG Isekai edition today.
Wow, what an amazing ad. I can't
Indeed.
believe they let us do that. I
And a
don't know
sequel.
what-
It was a sequel, bro.
I can't even believe it.
Awesome game.
Amazing. Anyway, speaking of sequels and nothing to do with them at all, let's talk about games that we've played for a buttload of hours. And so my most played game, I think, and this is kind of hard because you can't really track your stats on how long you've spent in games. And even on Steam, which I use to track my hours in games, it's not always perfect because if you play a game offline, like if your internet's not working or something, it doesn't track the hours.
That must
Anyway.
be hard.
Yeah, mine messed up even from Elden Ring, from like nights where I've like, left it paused, or like not paused because it's Elden Ring, but left it sitting by a
That's
side of
it. You
grace,
leave it
or like
idle or
gone to
something.
sleep
Yeah, exactly.
or something like that.
Well, that's actually one thing I really like about the Souls games, because Dark Souls does this too. If you look at your actual save game, it gives you the exact time that you've been playing the game. And it doesn't track when you leave. So I have like 180 hours in Elden Ring, but when I look at my save file, it only has like 170 or something.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
And so times
I'll
that
have
I've
to
just
look.
left, yeah, that's pretty
That's
good.
wild.
But
Yeah.
all the same, the game that I have probably spent the most time in ever is Overwatch.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
I bought it I bought it the night of release because I was pretty hype on it, but I didn't want to pre-order it. I bought it the night of release, and I have played it very consistently up until about the release of Elden Ring. That was when I started to ease off playing it. I have well over 1,000 hours in the game across 3 accounts.
Yeah.
And it's not even like games where, like you don't really upgrade anything. Like there's no better weapons. You don't unlock characters. You can unlock skins, but they don't do anything. And like I'm even like was so obsessive with it that when I first started dating the woman who would later become my wife, she would come over and we would be watching Korean Overwatch esports on my TV.
Oh, God.
Just
And
because
she married you.
Yeah, I know. What a fucking idiot. Terrible taste in men. Terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the game that I've spent the most time in.
Yeah.
It's just tons of fun, and there's huge community. I've made tons of friends in the game. There's not much more I can say. Just friends, fun, and that's it.
It's funny because, as you said, like it's like the Sea of Thieves game as well. You do a lot of work to not really get anything back. Like, so you can't get stronger. You can't get better abilities and unlock, a stronger character and all the rest of it. Like, say, Call of Duty, for instance, where you unlock better guns and all the rest of it.
Battlefield, same.
All those sort of games have rewards, and you get better and better, and stronger and stronger, which then throws a balance off very, very hard. This is all coming down to skill, but also the reward is like just skins. So it's very difficult to sort of like to sell that to someone who has no interest in playing it. It would be a hard sell because, like, how do you be like, well, you play it and then you just look different. You just get another shirt. And like,
yeah.
well,
So
shit.
with Overwatch, there is a little bit to it. So there is a competitive mode, which basically based on the outcome of your games, you gain or lose rank. And there's ranks from bronze to grandmaster. I've peaked at diamond or 3100, I think it is, which is it's like the third or fourth highest rank. Nothing spectacular. It's like top 40% of players or some shit.
Still pretty hectic.
But yeah, that's where the reward comes in with how much time I've spent, is that I get better at the game. I'm still not good, but better.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with something like Sea of Thieves, your time spent is more the adventures that you have.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because I know that there's just weird and kooky shit you can do. And
it is so much fun. I've got to say, if I had more time and if I played it on release, I think Sea of Thieves would have been one of those games that I had racked up a lot of hours. I've probably put about 150 hours into that game. But I guess segue onto me while I'm talking about me.
Just steal the segue then.
It's not really a segue if you just yell whatever we're talking about, segue to me. That's not a segue.
Everyone shut up. Just shut up.
That's a segue. It's just not a good one.
No, exactly. But I was like, well, we're not going to go back now to talking about fucking Overwatch.
We can go back.
No, fuck Overwatch. The game that I have sunk a large number of hours in was World of Warcraft.
Another Blizzard game. Basically the prequel to Overwatch.
Prequel?
I mean, Overwatch, you can thank World of Warcraft for Overwatch even existing, I would dare say.
Actually, the Overwatch started as a new MMO concept by Blizzard. It was supposed to be their next big MMO. And then as time went on, it became like a team-based
PvP thing. Yeah.
PvP
was huge in World of Warcraft, and it got even bigger and bigger as time went on.
I think it still
I'm not
is.
surprised. Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
There's a new fucking expansion coming out.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I thought they were like phasing it out, like moving on to a new game, or like
they just seem to be able to hold on. Like, and they're throwing dragons into the mix this time as well, and you can ride them, which is kind of
no, well, Skyrim's dead.
yeah,
that's it.
It's next level. So, World of Warcraft was the game. 6 months of time played in the game was the amount of hours. So that's accumulated seconds, minutes, hours, days to 6 months of my life.
Let me math that.
Math 6 months of time to
6
to hours
in hours. 4,380.
Yeah.
So you have spent more time in World of Warcraft than I have in Overwatch.
It was, it's a long period of my life. So it was probably that's over the span of about 2.5, 3 years. However, a lot of that time wasn't spent playing, like actually actively doing anything. It was in chats, in guild chats, in friend chats, just hanging out with people and talking to them, because I didn't really use Facebook. I don't remember Facebook even existing back when I had this. I had a MySpace, but I used it to find bands. So like a lot of my social interactions that weren't my friends in the circle of my friends, and this was the time when we just left high school, was inside of this game. So so I made a lot of good friends, and some of them I'm still actually actively talking to this day. So that's, I guess, why it was more of a platform for communications as well. So
I think that's at least part of why I vibed with Overwatch so much, is because
it's a community thing.
I built this community of friends, and like I was streaming religiously while I was playing tons of Overwatch, and all of that builds to this like community of friendship and stuff, and it's like social media with a game.
Exactly.
And like Overwatch was far more like we were just in game after game after game after game after game, but it's still much of a muchness. Like while we're in queue for 10, 15 minutes, we're just sitting there shit talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'd be like doing raids of a nighttime, like get the guild together, do a raid on a town or a village, do PvP. we'd do like low level run throughs of dungeons and stuff, like take all the newbies through, get them like higher level stuff, things like that. But and then like you just jump on there. I'll jump on there every night and just be like, hey guys, what's going on? And just be talking through the chat, like just doing nothing. And I'd have like a movie on or something, and it would just be like having my messenger open. So yeah, 6 months, but not 6 months. But anyway, so Brady.
No, I can actually relate to that because they're doing something while you're doing something else, while you're gaming in one aspect or another. Is probably the game I spent the most amount of time with was Pokemon Omega Ruby, which is super late to the game for Pokemon games. Yeah, but it was a DS game. And the reason I spent more time in that game than others was they had this kind of weird, they were going to allow people to catch up on the amount that were of Pokemon that were released with the 4 that came out in like 2 years close to each other in the same generation. So Pokemon X and Y and then Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire allowed you to actually collect, if you owned all 4, everything that existed at that point. Whereas previously to do that, you needed to own basically everything back to generation 1, like Game Boy. But they literally put all of them across those 4 games.
Right, okay.
And I had a partner at the time that had a DS, so she bought Y, I bought X, and then she bought Alpha Sapphire, I bought Omega Ruby, and then when she inevitably gave up, I stole hers and finished them for her, collecting everything that I was missing and sent them to myself. But it meant I was able to actually complete everything for once in a Pokemon game, which was a pretty cool feeling, even though it's there for you if you just spend the money to buy 2 copies. But also I spent a lot of time trying to create a shiny, which is a weird Pokemon concept where if you some Pokemon are off color in like sometimes a cool way, sometimes not a cool way, and they're incredibly rare, or they used to be, but in more recent games they've been less rare. A shiny Greninja, because Greninja is a ninja frog that has a tongue that is kind of like a Japanese scarf.
Yeah.
But its shiny version is, instead of being blue like its normal version is, it's black. And it just looks real badass, and I really wanted one. So I bred over 400 eggs. And in the Pokemon game, it takes 250 steps to hatch an egg. So I bred 400 eggs before I hatched a shiny.
So what you're actually saying is not how many hours you spend inside of a video game, but how you came to your career as a personal trainer.
I did it. My step count in Pokemon is like many people's years of age.
A gateway to success.
Was that the there was one Pokemon release that came with a pedometer.
No, yeah, so I know what you're talking about. You could get the little thing.
Yeah,
it looked like a Pokeball, and you could transfer them to it. Yeah, I think it might have actually been. Was it the first Let's Go? No, it wouldn't have been.
No, it was. I only ever got mainline.
Because on
games.
Switch,
it was on DS.
Yeah, there was a DS one where you could move them to it, and you could walk and get like per step a experience point or something.
Yeah, but I was a fat ass, so I didn't get anything.
Yeah, so, they didn't really help me that much. But yeah, so that's I realized it wasn't in my top 10, but it's probably the game I spent the most time in because I was real determined to get a shiny Froakie, which would eventually evolve into a shiny Greninja.
So did you get it?
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, I was no,
I got it.
It didn't happen. I was like, man, this is disappointing as shit.
I got it. It took 400 eggs. I had like 100 in the bank ready for me to walk to find out if there was another one. But I just stopped at my 400 when I got it. It was like 420 or something. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of statistics, but back in the day, it was like 1 in 10,000 odd would be a shiny, and then there were a couple of things you could do to increase your chances. So if you completed the Pokedex, which obviously I had, we spoke about that, your chances would be doubled, meaning that the 1 in 10,000 would be 1 in 5,000 by giving you a shiny charm. And then if you bred it with a foreign person's Pokemon, you could half. I don't think it was half. It was like quarter that chance again, or something like that. So there were a few things you could do, but we're
Multicultural
still talking about like really drastically low numbers. Like there's a reason it took me 400.
That is somewhat understandable and also very, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is long before I started my own business. I had too much
you're
free
describing
time.
it though, you're describing, you're getting a Pokemon with basically a different colored tail. It's not that much different to getting an Overwatch character with a different colored t-shirt. So, it's just a different
To
form
be
of
fair,
the same reward.
I've never tried to farm skins.
Yeah. See,
Not
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I
So that's
just
not
have-
your
That is the
that's not your drive
first
for it.
and
Yeah.
last time I ever did that.
I can imagine there's about 400 reasons why. That would have been the first and last time.
That's 100% true. Damn it.
Brady's sitting there at work. Shut up and do push-ups.
Also, just
Oh,
jumping around like this.
It's so much worse than that.
Getting his
So,
steps up.
You know how we had the episode
You're just
where
there
we talked
taking a
about...
shit. You're like,
You know how we talked about exploits and we were mostly talking about like software exploits?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a whole topic on its own. So way worse than that. I worked out infinity loop if you held the button down to get so the character would walk in the same spot, Justin.
oh, right. Okay.
So because it was a switch and the way the controller worked, if I wedged a 5-cent piece under it, he would just keep walking in that loop.
That's the equivalent of like Pokemon Go, where people like attach their phones to fans and just turn the fan on to get the steps to like hatch eggs.
Well, it's the identical, and they got that idea from exactly what I did.
Nice.
You guys are disgusting.
You're welcome.
But I think that kind of rounds us out for the night. So
It does, because we've decided to put on a new time limit for you guys.
Oh yeah,
Give
I
us
should
some
actually
feedback.
discuss that.
Next time.
Yeah, on the next episode.
We're out of time.
We're out of time.
We basically received a whole bunch of feedback, and we thought we'd take on board some of it, give it a bit of a trial. And this is going to be the first piece of it, is just making it a bit shorter. Let us know if you like the shorter form content, or if you really want to hear the sultry, dulcet tones of my voice for a whole hour. Shut up, Brady. Your voice is nasal and high.
I was going to say, he put everyone into like such a hard position right then.
Pressure's on.
I put everyone into a hard position. Real hard.
When are we getting a Say Cheese episode add 2, Justin?
Oh, dude. Y'all haven't even visited it yet. You got to go to the shop.
True.
It's there.
And